Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer and I am Skeindeer Knits as a designer on Ravelry. It's been a while. I have hair in my face, so nothing has really changed here. Why does this happen? Every time I start recording I'm like, yep, there it is. So how do I introduce this reappearance of mine to new viewers? First of all, hello. This is my knitting podcast, knitting talk show, where I sit and talk about knitting for about an hour, usually weekly, but it's not really been weekly, has it? It's been like May. I think I skipped all of June, and to returning viewers, it's no surprise why. You know why. Let's just say it after me. The PhD thesis. I'm still writing on it. It's going actually quite well, I hope. I'm writing a lot, so we're just hoping that what I'm writing is good. And that's basically why I've been gone. It's just nothing else to really write home about. That's basically it. So I will be talking a little bit more about life stuff at the end of this episode, I think. So let's just get straight into the knitting. I am running the year-long Skeindeer Knits garment KAL, which is basically where you knit any of my garment patterns for the duration of this year. Just finished by the end of the year and you're in. So it's all my cardigans and sweaters and that one skirt pattern of mine. Have at it. And actually I want to take the opportunity as well to just say thank you for taking part in it. It's been, I've got to talk about that in live stuff. But let's just keep it brief. Me spending all of my time, apart from this hour that I'm going to record, yay, spending all of my time on writing my thesis, it does mean a lot that you guys are working on my patterns and posting them on social media and all that stuff. It's actually, you know, how I feed myself during this time that I'm not able to create as much Skeindeer Knits output as I normally would like to. So thank you so much. And yeah, knitting. I really had to like deep dive into my show notes to be like, where did we even leave off last time? What was I talking about? What was new in my stash? What was the project yeah. So I remembered actually I had edited in a little clip in the last episode where I said that, oh, the postman came and did drop off the yarn I'd ordered, but it was not the colours that I had expected. The colour was called aubergine and it was more of a dusty pink, shall we say. So I wasn't too happy about that, but I still just cast on as soon as I got it, and within 3 days I had knitted the majority of this blouse that I really wanted to make. And so without further ado, I'm just going to show you the finished object that I have. It didn't take 3 days, it did take a bit longer because I actually needed to order another ball of yarn because I guess I knitted loose or whatever, I don't know. I should have been wearing it, honestly, but I didn't. I have washed it because I've been wearing it a lot, so I was ready to wear it when I was going to have time to record next, but then I found, let's just record now, and I'm wearing a flannel shirt, so and I'm in a flannel mood, so I'm just gonna hold it up and show you. But I have taken some photos as well, so it'll be like having those on words. I don't talk to a lot of people lately, guys. It's lockdown. It's bear with me. I'm gonna stop teasing you now. Here it is. Look at that. I am so pleased with this little blouse t-shirt thing. It's not all that long. It's like a long, it's not cropped. I usually say long crop, but it rests on the top of my hips, shall we say. It's got amazing puff sleeves, which I've always been sort of on the fence about puff sleeves, but these were really flattering. I'll just show you the photos. You can see the photos. I try to kind of look all like, you know, vintage glam and all that stuff. I'm not really here for the vintage glam. I'm more for the tweeds and the tartans and the knit sweaters, you know. But I tried to rock that look. We'll see how that went. Those of you following me on Instagram will of course already have seen them. The construction of this blouse, which is called Birkelund, named after Birkelund in Oslo, and the construction is really cool. I've never seen anything like it, honestly. You start off by working a round yoke, right? That's how you get these flowers in the round. Oh, look at that. yeah. And then as you still work in the round, you establish these extra stitches as the puffs in a very interesting kind of increase pattern I've never even come across. So you get the puffs, but then you actually stop increasing as a yoke the way you did before. Instead, you are only increasing along the side like you would a contiguous sweater. And you increase a little bit extra here under the arm so you get that full bust. And you also decrease, so you can see you're like decreasing the sleeve puffs as you go, and it's so nice. It's just, I really like this, you know. I don't care that the colour wasn't exactly what I had imagined. It's still really nice. I'm wearing this. I just have to, you know, broaden my colour scheme in my wardrobe. It can't all be burgundy and navy blue with the odd green and yellow. Yeah. This is nice. I don't usually like pastels, but this is just not that pastel, so it works. It's fine. It's fine. I really like it. I've been wearing it a lot. It's been very summer friendly, and our summers here have actually also been very Ellie friendly. So that means we've actually mostly had beautiful clouded weather, a lot of lost opportunities for recording perfectly lit podcast episodes, but that's just how it is. It's been really nice and not too hot and not too cold. We had 4 days of a brutal heat wave, but after that and before that, we've had rain, we've had wind, we've had clouds. I am here for this. I am loving it. I probably just jinxed it and we're going to get a heat wave in all of August, I'm sure. But for now, I am really happy with the weather. I've been able to wear this a lot. It still looks really good, and it's also made in a, I believe, viscose cotton linen blend, if I'm not entirely wrong. I may have got that mixed up. Which means that it's just to chuck in the wash. I haven't yet washed it with my other clothes simply because I don't want the white to get colour from anything else. Although having said that, when I had this soaking in water during blocking, the pink kind of bled all over, but it didn't stick to the white. So that's been fine, but I still don't want to like risk anything in my wardrobe that I may have just bought and forgot that it's being washed for the first time, ending up on the leaves here. We wouldn't want that. So, but washing it in the regular wash cycle is absolutely fine, and it's really nice to have some knitwear that I can treat as such. Although, as you guys know, I put everything in the washer. Superwash, non-superwash, all of it. It just depends on using the right program, you know. Below 30 degrees Celsius, having no friction, either no spinning or max spinning, that everything goes on that. Everything goes on that in terms of wool. So yeah, I think I did everything else according to pattern. I forgot to decrease for the sleeve. You're supposed to decrease a little bit as you go. I just forgot, and it doesn't seem to be a huge issue. I think other than that, I have followed the pattern to a T. Pun intended. So that doesn't happen a lot. I am a relentless modifier, as you guys know, and I think modifications are kind of the point of knitting. Like, we make stuff ourselves, so why wouldn't we adapt it to ourselves? But in this thing, I mean, I was just generally quite pleased with how it all worked. I think like the closest thing to a modification was just going up on needle size for the colour work, because I didn't want it to like pucker in up here, because that often happens if you knit colour work at a tighter gauge than stockinette. Oh, it's been such a long time since I talked about gauge. Ooh, I gotta hold back. We got quite a bit to get through. Not as much as I thought, but still. So there's Birkelund. It's by Vippet av Pinne on Instagram. She is a fairly new Norwegian designer, and what she does is so interesting. I'm like, where did you come from and why are you so good all of a sudden? Like, she just like, her first design, brilliant, and it's just stay that way. Like, she combines a lot of texture and color work, so there's a lot of cables and color work in yokes and stuff like that, and I'm like, damn, that's nice. So I do really recommend checking her out. Really, really good stuff. Love this t-shirt. I'm always like really pleased with myself when I manage to knit a whole project between episodes, but then I'm also like, now I only get to talk about it once, so hopefully I'll be wearing it in another episode. I can talk about it a lot more. I did forget to mention the yarn used. The pattern recommends Sandnes Line. I actually have worked with that before, and it happens to be here. I did use it for this sweater that I knitted last year. This is the Deschon, probably French since I can't say it. It's supposed to be this way. And it's knitted very loose, and I really love this yarn. Unfortunately, this is the only colorway of Sandnes Line that I like. They also have some nice grey, and they do have black, but it's like everything else is pastel, because I guess someone got the idea that that's like summer colors. They don't know my soul and how dark it is, so yeah. I did want to work more with this yarn, so I found that this isn't a yarn that it appears to be manufactured by Sandnes. They have their own mill and they do make a lot of the yarn, but this yarn seems to be one of those yarns that you can find a lot of different brands and logos on. And I looked into Yarn Sub and found that there are actually a lot of equivalents. And one of those equivalents was Fildar Rustique. Rustic, one of those. And they had slightly different colours, and so I just went with it, and of course didn't get the colour I thought I'd get, but anyway, I do think it's a different colour to what was in the Sandnes palette, but I could be wrong about that, I don't remember. But anyways, that does mean that there are various different yarns that are exactly the same that you can use if you cannot for whatever reason access Sandnes Line where you are in the world, if you want to make that top, or any other summer knits that is sort of DK Aran, I guess. Worsted, that's the word I was looking for. So yeah, that was my finished object. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I do have another 2 finished objects. There's one sweater and there's one cardigan, but I am holding back, and it is because they are designs, and I am busy. Like, I am busy. I do not have time to orchestrate tech editing and test knitting, although tech editing mostly happens on its own, that's not my job right now. So I'm glad it's finished in terms of knitting, but in terms of getting, you know, photography done and orchestrating, managing test knitting and all that stuff, I can't do that now. It's PhD theses are just completely life consuming. We don't even need to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, so that just means that I won't be able to republish them anytime soon. So I will be showing you them when we are a little bit closer to publication, especially because one of them I've been able to hold off for a very long time. I actually started designing it 2 years ago, and I recast it on it in September, so it's been a long work in progress, and I don't want to start a hype that I can't be able to keep up with until months and months from now. But rest assured, it's gonna be a good one. I'm really pleased with both the cardigan and the sweater. Yeah, so I will show you, just not yet, but I don't want to look like I've just been knitting on 2 things, you know. I'm also cranking out a lot of other designs as well that are not finished, but I'm working on them, and I'm really pleased with them, and I hope you guys are too when you see them. So, but I do have 2 works in progress that are not designs that I'm more than happy to show you guys right now, so we'll do that. One has been in my queue for a very long time. Have we not heard that sentence before? I made this cardigan back in 2015, 2016. I did bind it off in early 2016, and I used this grey superwash merino yarn on it, and it's been a cardigan I have worn a lot. But it's both a little bit on the smaller side, and I have always wanted one in red non-superwash, and that is Damejacka Elinor. It's a Pinnegudi design that I really liked. Like I said, I wore it so much, and there's nothing wrong with the old one. I just want another one in red, so I'm just working on it. It was my first ever encounter with the contiguous method, so it's been really fun revisiting that first encounter and see kind of how my designer brain is now making sense of it, and I'm still really pleased with how it's going. A little bit worried about the shoulders being narrow, but I mean, I guess it will block out. It just looks really small, but it is the same one that I made before, and yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but we're hoping that it's gonna be fine. Yeah, I really like it. This is where it's at so far. I mean, I think a lot of the lace and stuff is gonna open. It's gonna be fine. If anything, I'm using bigger needles now than I did back then, so someone's stressed out and knitting tight. Yeah, that's basically Eleanor. I haven't really modified much, she says, then only to mention all her modifications. So here we go. There are a couple of places in the charts where it sort of recommends that you kind of establish a bit of stockinette before you do these fake cables that you see here. I didn't want to do that, so I started doing the fake cables as soon as I could instead, because it looked a bit weird to me to have this like weird open stockinette that wasn't schmucked together the way you do with these fake cables. So that's one act of defiance that I have done. The other one is actually once I got to the underarm, I sort of just felt like I would appreciate more ease, even though this is supposed to be a sort of no ease to negative ease cardigan. I know myself and I know I like a bit of ease, so I actually sort of cheekily snuck in 4 stitches under each arm. So I added one on each side here and one on each side of the marker. So that should add about 8 stitches, which should give me what, an inch or so, just extra. And I thought that's just gonna be nice. I'm just gonna appreciate that. And I think once I'm past the bust, I will just decrease those out again. So it shouldn't make a huge difference. I just wanted a little bit, you know, a bit of room for, I don't know, when I sit, I don't know. So that's basically where it's at so far. It's just been going really fast, honestly. I don't remember even working on it. It's a very smooth pattern to follow. I really enjoy it, and I just hope that those shoulders gonna fit. My shoulders haven't grown. I'm pretty sure my shoulders not grown since the past, what, 4 years, so I'm sure it would be fine. Although different yarns behave differently. It's quite interesting. The yarn I'm using is the discontinued PT2. This is PT2. They say it's not discontinued because they merged it together with the Roma Finul. But they discontinued it and they just named Roma Finul PT2. Because then every pattern that recommends PT2, people are now just going to go for Finul. But this yarn really doesn't exist anymore. And there's some of the colours they transferred to the Finul shade card, which I happen to have on my wall here. I should really have that as my backdrop, but the light isn't as good on that side, so it's just how it is. But it's really nice and rainbowy. Yeah, so I hoarded this yarn when it got discontinued. In fact, that new cardigan design is in that yarn and it's in a colour where you can't get. So that was smart, well done me. But there's a colour that's sort of similar that I'm sure everyone else is going to be fine with. I'm just being fussy. I really love this red though that I'm using here. I'm pretty sure Finul has a very similar red. I will say this yarn is a little bit harder than the current Finul. Finul, when kind of revamped as Finul PT2, was made a lot softer. I also found that it was made a little bit pillier. Not as pilly as like most soft yarns, but a little bit pillier than it used to be. This yarn is a lot less pilly and also less soft. There's always like a trade-off between soft and pilling proneness. So yeah, they put a bit of lambswool in Finul. That's basically the reason why it's softer and feels more. So it's nice to get back to this slightly harder, crunchier PT2. It's still really nice in my opinion. So yeah, that's what's happening there. This bag is one that my mom made me. It's yeah, just really nice and functional. It's always really good to have like smaller projects, which is, I mean, a cardigan is not a small project, but it's so far not that big because I haven't like done the body or the sleeves yet, so it seems to fit fine in this one. Yeah, I find myself using this bag a lot. It's just sort of nice, unassuming, compact, not too thick or bulky, and just fits most things. So yeah, thanks Mom. I now have one last project to show you all. That is actually a sweater that I cast on since last time as well, and I've done a lot on it, and it is using yarn that I hauled last time as well. How about that? So in addition to showing you guys the Fibre Rustique yarn that I had purchased, I had also received yarn that I had ordered from Stephen and Penelope in Amsterdam, because they wholesale Lola Bean Yarn Company yarn, and I had to have it when it was back in stock because she has an exclusive colorway with them which is called Burgundy Beam. Need I say more? I already think that Adela is really awesome. She's a really cool dyer. I really appreciate her Instagram presence. She and her family are brilliant, and yeah, just like twist my arm, right? So I immediately had to cast on, and I knew what I wanted to make after a bit of a browse. I found the Elizabeth Dorothy sweater. I mean, I talked about Elizabeth Dorothy a lot on this podcast, and she just has this eye to detail that is just next to none. Like, it's just, I don't want to modify anything with her stuff, because I just know that she, like I said, has this eye to detail that I just want to explore that rather than overriding it with my own opinions. Obviously, I'm always going to be in favor of making adaptations for your desired fit, whether that's usually length adjustments and things like that, which I may very well do on this sweater, but it is otherwise a sort of untailored, unfitted, boxy type sweater, which is markly. This is the back. Look at all that stockinette. That is a lot of stockinette, and look at that wonderful, wonderful colorway. So you can see it's hanging a bit heavier on this side because I am actually well into the sleeve, which only reminds me of the Watchmen TV series, because I watched the entire season just working on this sleeve. I'm not that quick of a knitter. People think I am. I just knit a lot. It still takes me a whole season to knit a sleeve that isn't even finished. So yeah, but oh my days, look at this colorway. Just, oh, yes. I am just, and this design is so cool as well. If you look at the back, it's got this like vertical braid, sort of. I don't know if you see that. And it's not vertical, it's horizontal. You know, the other vertical. Which is a feature I've come across in her designs more in the past. The cardigan that I knitted for my grandma had that. And it's just really cool. It has this sort of feature, Elizabeth Dorothy feature, which is made in an incredibly simple way, which I also appreciate. I really love the eye to detail in the underarm. The way you're sort of supposed to bind off the underarm with a 3 needle bind off so that it goes a little bit in, and you kind of get this, I don't know, modified drop sleeve, I guess is what it's called. Never come across anything like that before. It was fascinating. I am such a nerd. Like, who talks about knitting this way? But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. But I am now mostly on a bit of a stockinette island. There isn't much else going on. I am the decrease rate is pretty cool, and you get this like this line forming. It's not the decrease rate, but like the method of decreasing. See that? You get this, yeah. Because you're slipping stitches, but you're also using these slip stitches as your decrease stitch, which is like, that is so cool. Isn't that really cool? And sort of the same thing is happening on the body. So I don't know if I can show you. This hanger is not really helping. I thought it would, but yeah, as you can see, there is a slip stitch column going all the way down here, and it's sort of lightly angled towards the front of the body. As you can see, the neckline is very open. That's just because I haven't picked up stitches for the neckline yet, and I tend to always make necklines close up a bit, so I would expect that to happen here as well. But anyway, I just want to applaud myself for getting through all that flat stockinette before finally getting to doing this stuff in the round, because those stockinette all the way down to here, flat, me, purling. I'm always like pleased with myself when I manage to persevere. Literally the only reason that I am a bit fussy about the purling thing is just because my knitting stitch is just so much more efficient, relatively speaking. I do purl just fine, there's nothing wrong with it, and it is my preferred method, and I've tried a lot. It's just that knitting is so much smoother. But the advantage of having to purl is that I really just want to like get it over with. So I tend to actually work more efficiently on projects worked flat, because I want to get to the bit that I get to do in the round, or at least without purling if it's garter or whatever. So there's a neat psychological trick in there somewhere, I think. So I mean, that works out. Yeah, wow. So what we have left in this episode now is just to talk about my acquisitions and then life stuff. So if you only like to see what I've knitted, well, we're past that. We're just going to talk nonsense as if that wasn't what we were doing already. So I'm just going to reach for my new stash. This is all falling apart, but we're going to try. I didn't want to pack my yarn away until I had recorded, so I just kept it out in this nice little cardboard box. And it's like a candy store. It's just I mean, doesn't this make you happy? It makes me very happy. I think it's... Where do we begin? Most of these things are things I have bought myself because I'm reckless like that, but I have also had some things sent to the podcast. So, one thing I got was these 3 skeins of Wollmeise DK. So there's a story. The reason I ordered it was because I have for the longest time, you know, since Katie of Inside Number 23 had made the Sophie cardigan by Jennifer Wood. And I always wanted to make it, and then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to buy yarn to make it. So I bought Wollmeise DK. And then I was ready to cast it on. I even have one of the skeins caked up over there, and you know, there's no joke caking up, winding up a Wollmeise skein because they are 200 grams rather than 100, and they are solid. And then I was like, I don't know if that cardigan's gonna suit me, because I'm quite fussy about like shoulder width. My shoulders aren't as wide as, say, my bust, so when a pattern has a very small difference between shoulder width and bust circumference, yeah, I can always modify, but because I was so unfamiliar with this particular saddle shoulder construction method, I was a little bit, I don't know, but I've now figured out how to do it. Now it's just a question if I want to do it, because the reason I wanted to do this cardigan was to explore this new method, and now I'm changing it all, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do something else instead. Who knows? But at least I have some DK sweater quantity, which, you know, can you really have too much of? I don't think I have that much DK. So no harm done, really. So yeah, I got 3 skeins, but one of them is caked off. I just love this red. It is a little bit too much on the brown side for me as far as red's concerned, but in the right light, it's really nice. So but yeah, it's a bit silly maybe that I went for that precise red, because Wollmeise have a wide variety of colors. You can get the exact shade of whatever color you prefer, but I just went with what was in stock. So yeah, and you know, I want to support your dyers when it's pandemic time. So yeah, so that's that. As I also mentioned last episode, was that a lot of my local yarn shops and other UK and Irish yarn shops had gotten together to do this project that they hadn't yet revealed what was. So this has since come into fruition. They have done it. Basically all these shops got together and did it like a yarn shopping, like an online yarn crawl, if you will, where there were lots of things on sale. Every day there was a new shop having a sale, and it lasted for 48 hours. And you know, I am only human, so when I get these emails and this is on sale and here's a discount, I'm like, okay. I mean, so I may have got a couple of orders. Basically the thing was, if you order from minimum of 3 shops, you'll be in the prize draw. One that I didn't win, but still I took part. Wasn't really very hard to convince. So I shopped from 3 out of all these 7 lovely yarn stores, and I'll talk about them in turn. From Ginger Twist Studio in Edinburgh, I love that shop, love that city. I finally got my mitts on the Shetland Trader by Gudrun Johnston. I believe this is the second booktube. Yeah, a bit dusty. It's been out for quite some time, and I had a proper clean out of my room yesterday, which was so good. Yeah, so I finally got the Shetland Trader by Gudrun Johnston. It's just full of wonderful patterns, some of which I actually already own, but I now have them in book form, so yay. I mean, as you guys know, this has been in my queue for a century and a half, pretty much, which is the Belmont cardigan. I've been wanting to make this for so long. I think probably in red, but you know, never say no. It could be green. I mean, I've wanted to make it for so long, and I'm not saying having the book is not going to change things, because I've had the pattern for ages, but I think Gudrun Johnston is just really cool. So very happy to have this book. It's beautiful. She's coming out with her 3rd Shetland Trader book now, so I feel like now I need to go and get volume 1 and volume 3. This is how it starts. This is just, yeah. It's not a very big book. Yeah, just full of lovely, lovely, lovely patterns. So finally I get to put it in the bookshelf where it's going to gather, hopefully, slightly less dust. Other purchases I did was getting, finally, a sweater quantity I've talked about for such a long time. You'll especially know this if you follow me on Instagram. I debated for the longest time whether to get Cumbria worsted by the Fibre company in their ochre colorway or in their burgundy. A lot of people pointed out that I have quite a bit of burgundy around, maybe not so much ochre, which fair, and also the reason I wanted to get this yarn is to knit the cat bells sweater, which is using this yarn in this cat bells colorway, and I wasn't sure, you know, if maybe the colorway was a big reason why I wanted the sweater. So after running a poll on Instagram, finding that most people did indeed want me to buy this, I mean, I say most people, was like 51%. It was like really even, but I let the majority vote decide and got, what, 5 skeins of this, and it's really nice. It is actually, I'm just holding it up against my very, very oily face, which it always is. It's just my aesthetic. And I think it's gonna work out really well. I'm really, really happy with it. It's nice and soft. I can always get the burgundy for some other project some other time, and maybe, you know, when I'm a proper adult, I will ask them for yarn support and do an actual plan to decide with someone, instead of just designing from stash and not working with anyone and being just like the weird hermit that I am. I mean, that's the plan for when I graduate. We can do that later. So yeah, Fibre company worsted. I got this from Tribe here in London. It's run by Millie over in Richmond. Lovely shop. I really miss going over to Richmond and hanging out with all our knitting pals over there. So yeah, and the cat bell sweater that I want to make with this is by Pip and Pin, who have amazing designs. Just again, one of those designers that came out of nowhere and was just brilliant right away, and I am here for that, and I'm always around for supporting my colleagues, as it were. So that's that. Then I wasn't sure like how to do the 3rd option, so I actually waited for the last shop to have a sale, which was my very local yarn shop, Knit With Attitude, up in Stoke Newington. I could pretty much walk up there from here, you know, it's very close by. And it was yarn for a project that I looked at for quite some time. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called the Embrace cardigan, which is just like simple throw over piece that you tie in the waist and just doesn't really fit. Like it fits. I mean, it's not like fitted to anywhere. It just feels like, you know, when you wear something just gentle, right? I really want that. It's something I'm kind of always on the lookout for, and I seem to never have enough. Although I did buy a really nice dressing gown in like probably some synthetic that pretends to be a silk, and I look really cool and like some kind of vintage glamour. I don't know what I'm going for, but anyway, the yarn I got for the Embrace cardigan is the recommended yarn, which is G-uld number 4. This is their sort of, yeah, lace weight yarn in, what am I looking for? I know this. Gotland and Falkland merino. Let's see if I'm right. Yep, 75% Falkland merino, 25% Gotland wool, 650 meters and 100 grams. And this cardigan actually has you hold the yarn double. So I got 4 skeins because I actually happen to have 2 already that G-uld gave me at Oslo Knitting Festival last year, which was super nice of them. They are so lovely, and yeah, they just threw yarn after me pretty much, and I thought I'd do a shawl or something, but yeah, now I have another 4 skeins. So if I have 6, I can hold the yarn double and make the Embrace cardigan, which, like I said, recommends this yarn. So that's the plan. I'm not worried about dye lots because this is undyed, so there is absolutely no problem there. And yeah, so you know, you gotta feed the stash. I compare stashes to like sourdough starters, you know, you gotta continuously feed them. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules. But as I was actually buying my own G-uld yarn from my local yarn shop, I was also in talk with G-uld, we were sort of in talks about me going to their yarn dyeing site in Denmark, which I've never really properly been to Denmark. I've been staying at this hotel due to a delayed flight once, and that's about it. So, you know, and obviously now it's not happening because there's a lockdown and I'm writing my thesis and all that stuff. So instead they've asked me if I wanted to receive some yarn for the podcast. And also along with that yarn, they sent me another skein of their New Zealand lambswool because I asked. I did say I wanted to pay for it, but they just sent it to me anyway, which is really nice because I am working up a design in this yarn, which I am really pleased with. I saw this photo in one of my historical Norwegian knitting books, and I thought that'd be really cool to recreate for like a more, you know, ladylike vintage style. I mean, you can make it any style. I'm like, length is optional, decreasing is optional. So you want it to be a regular length, just throw over a cardigan, that works too. But anyway, I'm using this yarn along with some purple burgundy, surprise. And yeah, I was a little bit worried about running out of yarn, so I'm really glad that they sent me another skein. Although I'm sure it will be fine because this is a very generous skein of hang on, 400 something meters, 450 meters, there we are. Oh, it's so nice, and it's surprisingly heathered. I look at it now, I'm just like, ah, it's grey, it's just grey, but when I've knitted it up in the colour work, it actually it's just like really alive. I can't really put my finger on it, it's just alive. It's just, yeah. So that was a skein that they sent me. But the other thing that they sent me, which is one for me and one for you. Try not to crinkle too loudly. Remember when all the podcasts constantly had things that crinkled and it was always like, sorry for the crinkling. What happened to the crinkling? Or is it just me not watching enough podcasts anymore, which might just be the reason. I feel like crinkling, it was an era. It was the era of innocence. So yeah, these are exactly the same. They are basically the same yarn that I just showed you, but I think they are in 25-gram units each. So basically a skein and a half, and in different shades of blue greens, which was the color that I chose because it was the combination I liked the most, and I figured that you would like the most. So I'll be putting this aside and saving it for basically prizes for the Skeindeer Knits garment KAL, and I will be drawing those prizes at the end of the year. So like anything that you enter with now will be in that draw. I'm not even like having a prize draw right now. I'm still thinking about how to do that. So we will talk about that come November, December. So please don't worry about that right now. But yeah, just to give you a little close up. Seriously, this is all natural dye. Everything they do is natural dye, and a lot of it is like indigo and stuff like that. It's lovely stuff. And you've got a little logo here as well. Is it upside down? Who knows? So yeah, thank you so much to G-uld. Shout out to G-uld for sending me lovely scrumptious yarny stuff. That's always super, super nice. So thank you. I am just glowing today, aren't I? So yeah, that is my whole acquisitions. That's not entirely true, but forgive me for having packed away some things. It's been a month, but lovely Linda of Barbanet on Instagram sent me some delicious Icelandic chocolate licorice, which I have promptly finished. It's all gone. I need more, Linda, I need more. But she also sent me Istex Kambgarn, which is worsted spun merino from the same company that makes that Lobi, and it's really nice and soft and sport weight, and just, yeah, I have packed it away, you know, vacuum sealed in boxes away like I do to protect this moth-ridden home. I always joke about this home being like full of moths. It's actually just London. There's just moths all over. It's been the case for the past 4 years. It's just the population of moths just exploded with a heat wave, and when there are hot days, I see more of them outside of my insect nets. So I just try to be safe than sorry, and I put all my yarn away in tight, airtight packaging, and that's really the best thing that you can do. But if you want to get rid of moths, I do have some tips. I have talked about this before, but I have actually since narrowed down my moth riddance to 3 components. Obviously, as always, you want to continuously clean your space and just air things out, shake out your yarn in every so often, things like that. But when it comes to more specific things that I do against moths, I do have 3 things that I do. So apart from, packing away, airing out, keeping clean, all that stuff, I have mosquito nets. The mosquito nets I have are not great. They have they're not tight enough, so I should get some new ones that are tighter. But basically what you get is Velcro tape that you line your windows with. So if you have white window frames, you get a white Velcro tape and that won't be visible. And then you just get some mosquito net fabric that will stick to the Velcro. And I just recommend getting something a little bit more dense than what I've got, because some of the moths can potentially come through and it's not great, but it has made a huge difference. So we'll absolutely recommend. And it also just keeps bugs out generally, so you don't find out once you kept your window open during a hot night that your ceiling is full of daddy long legs and whatever. So that's cool. The other thing I do is having sticky moth traps around. I thought I had some nearby, I guess I don't. But they're basically, a little cardboard piece with sticky pheromones that attract the male moths. So not the egg-laying female moths that you do not want in your home, but they attract the males so that they cannot reproduce. They just stick to the trap and die. So that's nice. And you're supposed to have 1, and I have 30 because better safe than sorry. And they are very efficient. I'm really, really happy with them. They do seem to expire. They don't always specify that on the packaging, but they do seem to expire over time, and I find that if I replace them, actually suddenly they start attracting male moths again. So I need to replace them every so often, which is annoying because 1 cardboard costs £1. So obviously when I have 30, that's £30, and it's £30 every time I replace them, and I could probably go down to 10, but I am very precious about my stash and about my finished garments and everything. So again, better safe than sorry here. Now, you've heard me talk about all this stuff before, so what is new? Well, the new thing is something that the 3rd method that I have started using, which I am really pleased with, though I don't know how efficient it is, or effective, but it has not bothered me, and that's been a great thing in itself. And you may want to hold on to your knitting for this one, because what I have is microscopic parasitic killer wasps. You heard that right. Oh boy, where do we begin? You get a piece of cardboard, a tiny little piece that you can put on anything. If you know you have an infected area, that's the best place to put it, but I don't, so I just put it out in my room. And they're supposed to cover about, I think, 20 square meters or 20 meters square, which is not the same thing, but either way, plenty for 1 tiny little room here. So I get 1 and give it a day or 2, they all come crawling out, and I can't really see them except for on the cardboard. I can see them because they are dark silhouette crawling around on that white cardboard, so I do see them there, but as soon as they leave the cardboard, I have no idea where they are, and I never see them again. So either they're off doing their work, and that is sniffing out moth eggs, laying their eggs in them, and let their larvae eat the moth larvae. And this is obviously a good thing because it is the moth larvae that eat your knitwear. It's not adult moths, so even though you panic when you see them around, that's actually not the culprit. It's the larvae. And so these parasitic killer wasps, they take care of that for you. They can find them where you don't even know that they are and get rid of them. And once there are no more moth eggs, well, then the larvae of the killer wasps have nowhere to be, so they die out. So once they've done their job, actually there are no more killer wasps here. So I mean, I wouldn't know either way because they're microscopic. So I obviously can't attest to whether this has worked because as far as I'm aware, I have no moth infestation. I have absolutely, you know, everything tightly packed away and everything seems fine. But just in case there is something I have forgotten or not thought about, like, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was just digging out my like cupboard that I put on important things and random stuff. And I had this Garthenor paper bag where I put like flyers and stuff from yarn shows in, because Gothenor have really nice bags. So I put all the cardboards and flyers and business cards and stuff in there. And what I hadn't thought about, these are sort of things that you may forget. I had not thought about that the handles of the Gothenor bags are made of their beautiful, beautiful wool. The moths did not forget though, so those handles are promptly disheveled and I've got rid of those. But that was something I didn't think about, that was knitting, that was wool. So it's that sort of thing that the, you know, parasitic killer wasps will take care of, even if I am not aware of it. So I'm just pleased that there has been absolutely no inconvenience of having them around in my living spaces. Nobody can tell because they are so tiny you can't see them. And even though there are 2,000 of them in every card and I have had 3 cards, I don't see them, I don't notice them, and they do their job and they go away. So I can really recommend that. I will try to remember to link below because it was really affordable as well, and I will definitely continue buying those cards. Yeah, not sponsored, just googled it and found it, and it's really, really good. It's often used in India against rice moths and stuff like that, to keep rice crops free of moths. So yeah, good stuff. That was not a planned part of this, but I thought, you know, you guys are interested in keeping your knitwear free from moths as well, so I thought I'd put that in there. Life stuff. There's not really much I'm going to say about that on here that those of you following me on Instagram won't already know, because I made a post about it quite recently. Again, those of you following the podcast will also know this. I am just busy with the PhD thesis. I don't want to say that the last period has been particularly hard, but I don't want to say that it's been particularly easy either. I have been able to keep my spirits up better than I would have if this had happened a couple of years ago. There's been a lot of negative stuff around me. You know, you guys really, like long-term viewers will remember that about 3 years ago I kind of vowed to stop talking about personal stuff on here because I thought, you know, keeping it separate, and I still stand by that. But at the time I was getting new people to live with and it wasn't all working out super well. But I always thought, you know, I'll give it a chance. I will, you know, I don't want to put anything up on here that's going to like ruin things or, you know, make it sour. And now I'm just like, that ship has sailed. This is awful. I hate it here. I mean, I don't. I love this flat. I love this apartment. I'm so lucky to be living here for the relatively small rent for the area that I pay. It's central in London. It's in a really cool area. I love the space, the size of my room, all the storage that I have here. I wouldn't want to have it really any other way except for this person who moved in here 3 years ago. That has just been causing me so much stress, anxiety, and was a complete poor fit of living here, and it upset me back then and it's upsetting me still, and it's made it very difficult to be in lockdown when we're all in very close quarters, and some just never stop making noise, anxiety triggering noise. And you know, it's just anything from phone calls from 6 in the morning until bedtime that are, there's no sound insulation here, and sometimes, you know, you'll be around outside my window which is open, and it's when it's super hot, you know, what are you gonna do? So I sleep in earplugs, I wear noise cancelling headphones during the day. Like, you could go mad from this stuff. So that has been really difficult, but at the same time I know other people have had it much harder during lockdown than I have, so I always like to, you know, take that into account, because my mental health's been relatively good, all things considering. It's been much worse in the past couple of years than it is currently. I have found that lockdown has personally given me a lot of sort of permission to back off a little bit from a lot of, you know, pressure from being constantly up to speed with everything, with social events, with knitting stuff, with everything going on. I can just be here and focus on my thesis writing and not feel bad about it, not feel like I'm missing out. And having that permission from the lockdown has been actually really helpful for me, and not stressing out and wearing myself out by going out and coming back in and going out, coming back in. And on top of that, not being actually able to recharge here because of all the situation. So that's basically been the situation. I have to take any quiet moment that I have to write rather than record. And that's just going to be my priority until at least the end of the summer. Hopefully I'm done by then, so then we can talk about, you know, big grand Skeindeer plans. I'm in talks with graphic designers and web developers and all sorts of things that will hopefully come to fruition. But right now I'm in this sort of pickle where I can't really change my current, you know, business model. I'm just gonna have to trust that it works until I am done with the stuff that I have to do that unfortunately has absolutely no income to it. I just have to finish it. I have worked on it for 6 years. It's difficult. It's, you know, brainy science language. It's statistical analysis. You don't even want to hear me go there. And of course some may wonder, why are you recording now? You go to your thesis. And I will, after I record it. No, the reason that I found time to record today is because my flatmates have gone away on holiday. Thanks for the invite, guys. I feel like that illustrates the situation here pretty well, don't you? When like they just like right in front of you will talk about their holiday plans together, and I'm just like, okay, you guys have fun, it's fine, it's fine. And I honestly, it's great. I'm thriving. It's so nice to be alone here for a bit, just have a couple of weeks where I'm on my own, and it reminds me of how nice this place was back when I moved in here, when it was with much more quiet, tidy people, and I just feel like I'm kind of flourishing again, even though it's temporary. We can only hope that they will get a move on at the end of the year, which they have talked about, so you know. Yeah, so this is just dishing out everything because I don't care anymore. They have just pissed me off on so many levels. Honestly, it's just coming out now. So that has been difficult. Obviously, we've been in lockdown since early March, and I haven't seen anyone except these people since early March, and they at best treat me like I don't exist. And so all I can do is really focus on my own work with the thesis, taking all the breaks to work on designs, and that's kind of been my bubble for months and months and months now. So that was my little report of what's going on. I don't feel like it's neither good or bad. It's a mix of both, and I'm doing quite well in terms of my mental health. The situation isn't great, but yeah. But as I said in the beginning of the episode, I owe you guys so much thanks for letting me do this. It sounds like one of those like cringy things people say, like I couldn't do this without you, but honestly, if I didn't have Skeindeer Knits, you guys supporting Skeindeer Knits, I would not be able to sit here and write the thesis and finish it, because I would have had to take on a job. So I wouldn't be able to do it if it weren't for you guys. Seriously, thank you. That is why I can do this. How many ways can I say this? I don't know. Yeah, so I think I've said everything I need to say. I don't want to talk about the thesis anymore, so I'm just going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you're doing well. You know, we're all in such different situations, and mine might be worse than some and better than some others, and I think that's fine. I'm gonna say what I said previously, which is, you know, treat yourself like you are your own best friend, and take care. I will see you guys next time, whenever that is. Okay, bye.